This is The Herd, wherever you may be and however you may be listening, live in Los Angeles, iHeartRadio, Fox Sports Radio FS1. Joy Taylor is joining me on a Tuesday when we're packed. We had Aaron on yesterday. We have Nick Swisher on today from D.C., the All-Star Game tonight on Fox. The only All-Star Game really worth watching. The Pro Bowl's unwatchable. I don't watch a ton of hockey All-Star Games, and NBA All-Star Games 188 to 186, no defense. Tonight's actually a very watchable moment in baseball, and I can't wait for it.
Very exciting.
Very exciting. All right, let's start with this. Got to start with this. Last night was the best day of the year so far in baseball. Why? Because baseball wasn't rigid. Baseball didn't have unwritten rules. Last night was about peacocking, puffing your chest out, strutting, take the helmet off. Dad throws me BP. Showing off, little flair. You know why Bryce Harper didn't wear a helmet. You know why he wore that bandana, so you could see his hair, so you could see his handsome face, so he could be a rock star. Isn't it funny? The individual gets a little love in baseball. Almost felt like WWE mixed with the NBA, right? God, baseball was fun last night. Baseball was dramatic last night. Baseball had personality last night. No helmet. By the way, bandanas, if you do something cool and you're wearing a bandana when you do it, it's twice as cool. Now, if you do something awful and you're wearing a bandana, they give you nicknames like Gator. But last night was great. Last night was personality. Last night was peacocking. Last night was flexing. Last night was swagger. Last night was personality, which is why I talk NBA all through July now. Why didn't baseball do more of that? Ask yourself, didn't Bryce Harper feel a little different than everybody else? Kyle Schwarber's a baseball slugger. Bryce Harper's a rock star. The narrative going into last night's game, his OPS is down. I don't know if he's going to get $300 million. Oh, really? After last night, he's getting $450 million. What owner didn't watch that and go, oh, give me a piece of that? My stadium's kind of flat. My stadium's got empty seats. I don't know if he leads in OPS, but I'll tell you what he leads in. BIS, butts in seats. RSQ, rock star quotient. HYG, hide your girl. That, my friends, is what guys like me talk about. It's not my job to make you interesting. I have no obligation to talk any sport. It is your job to get interesting. United States men's national soccer team, get better and less arrogant. Otherwise, no soup for you. Last night was great. By the way, if you missed it, here's just a little sample of the fun last night with Bryce Harper playing to the crowd.
There it is, center field, and Bryce Harper has thrown his bat in the air and won the 2018 T-Mobile Home Run Derby, and he loves it.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. Put a clock to it, created urgency, created drama. And from day one, Bryce Harper, when he broke into this league, said he asked his teammates, he begged of his teammates, don't throw at home run hitters who stare. That's me. You're throwing at me. Don't throw at guys who do that. Baseball needs to be great again. It used to be the water cooler conversation. Last night it was. It was fun. It was big. I could lead my show with Kawhi Leonard. Could have easily today. If Bryce Harper wasn't in that and it was just a bunch of baseball dudes hitting bombs at batting practice, he added the personality to it. But baseball's always played to its nerds, baseball nerds. They're like scorpions. You can't kill them. They never die. Don't worry about them. They're not going anywhere. They'll sit in humidity in St. Louis for a team 19 games under 500. They're not going anywhere. What you want to get is casual fans. Last night, I'm not even a big home run derby fan. I think the home run derby and the Pro Bowl are mostly unwatchable.
Oh, I love the home run derby.
I know. America does. And last night, I'm like, oh, yeah, Bryce Harper, D.C., I got to watch this. No helmet, bandana, patriotic socks.
But you know why people love it is because it's an opportunity for guys to show off their personality. It's everything that you're talking about.
That got a higher rating than any baseball game. And he's been telling people, I want to make baseball fun. Pyrotechnics, big stage, showing off. Did you hear him after he won? I mean, how do you not, as an owner, not want this guy on your roster?
Oh, unbelievable. I freaking love this crowd. Every single night they come out and support us. Washington Nationals, baby. Let's go. Nice job.
He's Kevin Bacon. Remember Footloose? Kevin Bacon lived in a town where you could no longer dance. That's Bryce Harper. And Bryce Harper said last night, let's dance. That was awesome. Nick Swisher later this hour. All right, Jason Whitlock on Speak for Yourself said something yesterday. And boy, I am hearing a lot of this. And I got to tell you, as I'm rolling my eyes at it. Here's what Jason Whitlock said about LeBron James taking over in L.A. for Kobe Bryant and Kobe Bryant fans not liking him.
He and Kobe were rivals. And I think Laker fans, a significant portion of them, bought into that rivalry. And so show me when a great player has ever, toward the tail end of his career, moved to a team that saw him as a rival and gets fully embraced. LeBron is used to going to Cleveland or Miami and, oh, my God, he's here, and I can't believe it.
So you really
here in L.A., that's not the standard.
Really? I don't know. Los Angeles likes stars, and they love basketball. And let me check this real quick. The Lakers in the last 5 years have won, I'm just reading this, 27 games. 21, 17, 26, 35. Yeah, I'm sure they're going to be heartbroken to win 54. People say a lot of things. I'm going to eat healthy. I'm going to work out every day. And then people do different things. People now are going to say things like, I will never root for LeBron James. And then he's going to come out on a Tuesday night against like a Portland, and he's going to do this.
LeBron turned the corner inside! He made Yusuf Nurkic a screensaver! 15-14, the Kevlar bench is going nuts! LeBron James with a dance to the hoop controls the hammer down.
Oh, and you're just going to stay in your seat for that. Oh, okay. Tuesday night, you work hard, you go to a game, LeBron goes down the lane and does that, and you're not going to stand. You're going to sit in your chair and go, no, I prefer Kobe. And then on Thursday night, you go to the game again, you put a lot of work in, those are expensive tickets, you take your kids, LeBron goes down the lane, and he does this.
29-26 LeBron. He rattled the building! That's what they came to see! My chair is shaking.
And you're still sitting in your seat. Arms crossed. I am not enjoying this whatsoever. Folks, you love Jerry West. He was your favorite all-time Laker. And then Magic came to town and you liked him more. And then Magic was your favorite Laker. And then Kobe came to town. And now Kobe's your favorite Laker. And you love Wilt and Kareem came to town. And then you love Kareem and Shaq came to town. And now you love Kobe and LeBron comes to town. You're all building walls and you're building fences and you don't want to have the new neighbor in town. But what happens when the neighbor's cool? What happens when the neighbor makes the neighborhood better? He's got fun kids, got a hot wife, social drinker, invites you over, parties are better, kids are cool, big backyard, invites you over, bouncy house every weekend. It's fun, man. Kobe Bryant gets it. Of all the people that could be parochial, it's Kobe Bryant. What was his reaction? Welcome to the fam, King James. Because Kobe gets it. This is a star town that loves basketball. They just got the biggest star in the league, and he's really, really good at that basketball thing. Stop telling me you don't want to watch it. What do you complain about the NBA? Well, regular season, yawn, ho-hum. Not with LeBron, and especially not when LeBron's new in town. It's all good, folks. Did you see the reaction to Summer League when he showed up? Standing ovation. Did you see what happened when he tweeted about a pizza parlor lying around a block to get a glimpse of LeBron? See how big of a deal it was when he wore Lakers shorts and they sold out 2 hours later on the internet? Come on, man. You're building fences and walls. It's not who you are. Best player, biggest brand in a city that has won 21, 17, 27, 34, 35, really 52 with LeBron. You're going to stay in your seat. You're all in. Admit you're all in. It doesn't mean you don't love Kobe. Loving Magic doesn't mean you didn't love Jerry West. Loving Kobe doesn't mean you didn't love Magic.
Kobe's retired. He doesn't play anymore.
Yeah, I know.
It's okay.
And he's got $350 million in the bank. You don't need to be loyal to Kobe. Kobe gets it. This town has been full of guys you love. Kareem. Oh, here's Shaq. Wilt. Oh, here's Kareem. Jerry West. Oh, here's Magic. Magic. Here's Kobe. Kobe. And now, here's LeBron. Coming up next, I feel bad for the guy. I really do. But the data says he's not going to get what he wants, and he shouldn't get what he wants. That's coming up. Welcome back. Le'Veon Bell, probably not going to be a Steeler beyond this year. He wants big money. And the Steelers are like, no, we'll give you big money for a year. It's called a franchise tag. We're not giving you a multi-year deal. And people freaking out. And I hear a lot of this. Oh, you got to pay him. You got to pay it. You're forgetting the rule in the NFL. You got to pay a good quarterback. You don't got to pay for anybody else. J.J. Watt's not winning games. Odell Beckham's not winning games. Antonio Brown's great. Is he winning games? Is Julio Jones winning games? You got to pay for a really good coach, and you got to pay for a quarterback. I think you also got to pay for a really good left tackle. After that, you don't got to pay for anybody. Listen, Le'Veon Bell, there's a problem. There's a reason 60% of restaurants, coffee shops fail. Because everybody wants to own a cool coffee shop. Everybody wants to own a cool restaurant and invite their friends for dinner in the bar. That's why so many fail. There's a surplus of restaurants and coffee shops. But every town's got, big or small, got one or two guys in waste management, and they're always rich. Because nobody wants to go into waste management. Nobody. And there's one or two people in the town that always do, and they're always loaded. There's not a surplus. There's a scarcity of people that want to get into that business. They have said for years it's one of the best businesses to go in, waste management, because nobody wants to go into it. The problem with Le'Veon Bell is, an NFL general manager told me last year, he said, we have 8 draftable running backs in this class and another 4 that aren't draftable but may make the league. There's a surplus of them. By the way, guys now, good college back, enter the NFL, immediate home run. Look at the recent guys who have walked into this league. Some of them you didn't even watch in college. Kareem Hunt, Alvin Kamara. They walk into this league and they're stars, day one. I mean, you knew who Todd Gurley was. You knew who Leonard Fournette was. You knew who Christian McCaffrey was. You didn't watch a lot of Alvin Kamara. You didn't watch a lot of Kareem Hunt. I mean, the bottom line is you have a surplus of guys who walk into this league now and hit it. Warren Sharp is a very smart football guy. At Sharp Football is his Twitter account. People always say, got to have a great running back. Got to have a great running back. Helps your defense. Last 4 games by the Steelers last year at home with Le'Veon Bell averaging 5 yards a carry. They gave up 45 points to Blake Bortles, 38 points to Joe Flacco, 28 points to Brett Hundley, a backup, and couldn't ice an 8-point fourth quarter lead against Tom Brady. How's that for the star running back? Okay? And by the way, there's many of the best run teams in the NFL right now. New England, Philadelphia, Saints, Atlanta, Minnesota. They got multiple backs. They lose a back, they've got another one. They're not dependent on one star back. Mark Schlereth talked about this yesterday on Speak for Yourself. He nailed it. He did. We don't have it. But his point was, if I run a football team and I'm watching college football and I'm watching these guys enter the draft and I'm sitting watching on a Saturday night, I'm watching college football. And I'm watching Penn State, and I'm like, oh, that's an NFL back. And I'm watching Ohio State, and I'm like, that's an NFL back. And I watch Georgia, and I'm like, there's 2 NFL running backs. And I watch Alabama, and there's a back. And I'm watching, by the way, Stanford this year has an NFL back. Oklahoma always seems to have an NFL back. Alabama's got an NFL back. I mean, you just look around football right now. I mean, now, the NFL college gives you 1 good quarterback a year on average. 1. Last year, it gave you 8 running backs that were draftable, and I guarantee you, kids like Nick Chubb that goes to Cleveland will outshine Baker Mayfield as a rookie. I'm not saying Baker's going to fail or be a bust, but Nick Chubb, game 1, is giving you 100 yards. Baker Mayfield may not start until November. Here's Joy Taylor with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News. All
right, we're still on Kawhi Watch 2018. The Spurs have said they do not want to trade Kawhi within the Western Conference, and apparently they may not have to. ESPN NBA insider Brian Windhorst was on the latest episode of the Low Post podcast and revealed that he thinks that the Raptors are in the driver's seat to pull off a deal for Kawhi.
Love Windhorst, don't buy it.
Here it is.
I think they're in the driver's seat for Kawhi. because I think the Lakers have given up, the Sixers have given up, and with the Nets, Bulls, and Hawks spending their cap space, it makes it harder to assemble a multi-team trade. I think the Raptors are in the driver's seat.
Here's the problem. There's not a surplus. There might be a surplus of running backs. There's not a surplus of Kawhi Leonards out there. So I don't buy the idea that the Lakers have given up trying to get Kawhi. The talks may have dulled down a little bit, and you know they're trying to strategize differently. But I'm not buying the idea that they've given up on getting Kawhi.
I don't buy any of it. And again, I think Brian Windhorst is great. I don't buy any of these. What team is going to give up assets, draft picks and stars to rent Kawhi, who's in the last year of his deal, hoping you can convince a very different kid that he'll stay in Canada? He's from San Diego. People in San Diego, generally, Toronto people go to warm weather. San Diego people don't go to the cold. It's a winter league. I don't buy this at all. I just don't. What do the Raptors have to give up anyway that the Spurs would be that interested in? Everything? DeMar DeRozan and a draft pick, which, by the way, analytically, DeMar DeRozan, I don't think really fits necessarily into Greg Popovich's style. They like analytics. They're kind of ahead of the curve in that stuff. I don't necessarily feel. I mean, they're not ahead of the curve like Golden State or Houston, but and I'm not knocking the reporter on this stuff. But you tell me what general manager in the NBA, these are good jobs, by the way. General managers in the NBA, they make big money. They make millions of dollars a year. They got their daughters in prep school. They got their sons in prep school. They've been bouncing around in NBA for a decade. They finally get a GM job, and they're going to roll the dice, put their career in the crosshairs, giving up a star in draft picks, and praying that Kawhi Leonard, who's already said he wants to be in LA, Lakers or Clippers, will stay in Toronto. I don't buy it. I just don't buy it.
I'm not buying it either, especially the idea that the Lakers have just stopped negotiating with them. Next, we know that Le'Veon Bell and the Steelers failed to reach a long-term deal yesterday, so that makes it virtually certain that he'll hit the market and play elsewhere in 2019. Some of his teammates have weighed in, including Antonio Brown. Brown was asked about Bell's situation by ESPN's Josina Anderson. Let's take a listen.
I think he'll be pissed off, extremely motivated, super hungry. Crazy conditions, and ready to show why he deserves to be paid like the best. To each his own. I know he's there to take care of his business. We welcome him when he comes, and I'm excited to move forward with 2018.
I mean, Antonio Brown's going to support Le'Veon Bell in that spot, but I don't believe there's some talks that he's not going to show up to training camp and
just go out. Listen, he's going to make, I believe, Joey, he's going to make like $14 million.
Yeah,
he'll be the highest paid running back in the league.
Yeah, I think it's 14.5.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's going to go somewhere else and he's looking for a big contract, not showing up at training camp or possibly holding out at some point in the season, what are you holding out for? Because you've already reached a point where you're not going to get the long-term deal. And you're just showing other teams that you're going to be difficult also. So I don't buy the idea that he's not going to show up at training camp, because now it's an audition for the rest of the league.
That's right. Nobody wants a difficult player, no matter how talented. We're seeing that with OBJ. OBJ was on the market, and nobody bid on OBJ.
Des Bryant.
No, not just Des, but OBJ for about a week. The word was out he was on the market.
Yeah.
People are like as the analytics pour. First of all, analytics poured into baseball first, then they poured into basketball. Analytics are coming into football now, Joy. And what those analytics are telling you is the star running back's not worth it. The star this isn't worth it. The star receiver. What they're telling you is left tackle, quarterback, head coach, O-line, and the occasional pass rusher. So, this side, if you're trouble, people are like not into it anymore.
I still believe someone's going to give Le'Veon the money that he's looking for, but I think he's going to show up at training camp. Finally, hours after former Seahawk Richard Sherman suggested that the organization was in disarray, another member of the famed Legion of Boom stated he wants out of Seattle, and this has been swirling around for a while. Earl Thomas issued a new ultimatum of sorts to Seattle, posting on Instagram. He said, always been the underdog, ain't nothing new. Extend. If you don't want me, let's make a trade happen. I understand it's a biz. Instagram seems to be like the new way to subtweet or get a little not so subtle passive-aggressive message out to whatever team you're trying to reach out to, including your own. I mean, he's put out a lot of feelers to the Cowboys. He followed the Cowboys' official Instagram account. He's a native Texan, played for the University of Texas. So I mean, it would be a good addition for the Cowboys.
Listen, man, this Seahawk thing, Pete Carroll empowered all these players. Have a voice, have an ego, speak out, talk everything, including politics, and now it's coming back to bite him. Richard Sherman's banging on him. Michael Bennett's gone now with the world champs. Earl Thomas is like, trade me. This is Pete's thing.
I just think it's a
Empower
strategy
player.
that only works until you hit some controversy. So when everything went wrong in that Super Bowl in that one moment with Malcolm Butler and the interception and the entire team feels like you should have given it to Marshawn Lynch and that you had Russell Wilson throw it because you wanted him to win the MVP. Like once that seed is planted and everybody has a voice, this is what's going to happen.
No, I agree with you. Joy Taylor with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.
It is funny about Bryce Harper last night. There was this narrative coming in from baseball that his average is down and he's not this and he's not that. But remember, who ultimately signs off on contracts? Owners. What owner did not watch Bryce Harper last night and did not think, geez, my stadium could use that energy. My stadium could use that. Listen, baseball seasons are long. Like when I was a kid growing up, there were two people that you put their name on the marquee and people showed up. Nolan Ryan and Bo Jackson. Like if it was Nolan Ryan pitching tonight, when I was a kid in Seattle, Nolan Ryan's pitching, that's the Mariner game you wanted to go to. If Bo Jackson was coming to town, that's the game you want to go to. Like Bryce Harper is a marquee guy. I don't want to hear about, all his baseball stats. You're going to get 45 jacks. The guy isn't on anything other than Wheaties. He's a clean player. He's going to give you 45 jacks. He's going to give you 90 to 100 RBIs. He's going to put butts in seats. And he's got some swagger, and I love it. And, yeah, let's say, 214, you'd rather he at least be in the 230s, 240s, but baseball's going through a renaissance here. And the renaissance is analytics. Analytics came into baseball first, then basketball, then football. And in baseball, now we're getting our second round of analytics. And the second round is kind of devastating. It is don't hit ground balls. Hit the ball in the air. So averages are coming down. There's fewer base runners because ground balls don't get through as much because of defensive shifts. So Bryce Harper is made for this kind of baseball. Just come to terms with, don't worry about 214 as much to me. I'm not saying you can't make an argument because he's not a defensive crucial player. Manny Machado is more valuable defensively. But, watch this montage last night. What owner watches this and doesn't think, I want that in my stadium every night?
He's in a groove since the get-go. He hit his first run over, and he's not slowing down. Here comes Bryce Harper.
Dude.
Wow. Another one.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. This is getting fun. This is going to be interesting.
This is going to be over soon.
Wow.
Another one.
Oh, my goodness.
He checks out, and he's gone. Bryce Harper does it, and the crowd loves it.
It reminded me a little of Josh Hamilton when he won it years ago. Like, it felt big. And, he's going to get a $350, $400 million deal. And I know these big money contracts in baseball, they don't pan out. They never do. But a lot of them, if you can put butts in seats, that's good enough. And I don't know where he's going to end up, but there's so much money in baseball. Remember, the old saying in pro sports is basketball thinks of it first. Football gets it right, and baseball makes the most money on it. Baseball is humming. They're making money on their digital. They're making money on their TV. Now, attendance is down, but it's a money-making machine. Listen, I've worked in TV for 30 years. You got all these things happening in TV, linear TV. It still makes a lot of money. The Super Bowl for Fox Sports. When we had the Super Bowl a couple years ago, Atlanta, New England, the Super Bowl. Overtime made us $25 million. You make a lot of money in TV. TV makes a lot of money for big events. And baseball makes a lot of money. And if Bryce Harper signs for 10 years, think about this. This is what A-Rod did to baseball. When A-Rod went to the Yankees, they were selling out Friday, Saturday. They weren't selling out Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. This is what Reggie Jackson did. Reggie Jackson didn't put people in seats on Friday, Saturday. They already had crowds. Reggie Jackson put butts in seats on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And it's amazing how $400 million over 10 years works out if you can put 4,000 butts in seats on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. 80 times, 42 times a year, 28 times a year. That's a lot of parking. That's a lot of beer. That's a lot of programs. You go to those Northeast teams, it's humid in the summer. You're down in 3 or 4 beers in St. Louis, 3 or 4 beers in Boston, New York. All right, coming around do we have Nick Swisher? Oh, all right, Nick. So, Nick Swisher via the Cowherd Global Satellite Network. I know you're going to tell me Manny Machado is worth more than Bryce Harper, and I'm watching him last night, and I'm like, I'll pay $350 million for that guy in my stadium, right?
Hey, bro, if you could have been here last night and you would have seen the show that man put on in this stadium, like you're saying, man, this ballpark was electric. Right? Last night, Bryce Harper put himself on the map. He needed that not only for the Nationals fans, because the Washington Nationals are kind of in a little bit of a disarray right now, but he also put himself back in the market, like you're saying, with the owners. Hey, man, this kid last night, bro, everybody was off their butts. There wasn't an empty seat in the house, man. It was absolutely electric, man. What a show he put on last
now,
night.
when he broke into the league, he fought with his own teammates. He's like, listen, man, don't throw at batters who hit bombs, because I'm one of those guys. Don't do this. Has baseball come full circle on Bryce Harper, where now he's part of the club and they can accept his hair and his swag? Like, it feels like baseball now loves him, and they didn't 5 years ago.
Well, I think they definitely loved him when he first came up on the scene, because his energy and his effort was off the charts. I haven't been in the Washington Nationals locker room, so I couldn't tell you what his teammates think. But I'm telling you, man, this guy's one of the best players we have in our game. For him to be struggling on the average side of things is kind of concerning. I understand the home runs are there and the analytics say batting average isn't as important. But I'm telling you, man, our best players in the game do three things. They hit for power, they hit for average, and they drive in runs. Right now, Bryce is driving in runs and hitting home runs, but he's not hitting for average. So when you're talking about $350 to $400 million, the biggest contract baseball will ever offer above Giancarlo's $325, I want my guy to hit for average as well. But on base is a huge thing for me. It always has been.
Okay, but let me throw this out to defend Bryce Harper and home run hitters. Analytics have changed basketball. When you and I were kids growing up, if you didn't have a center, you couldn't win a title. Now, centers, mostly European guys who can shoot. I mean, you can't have a big who can't shoot.
Of course.
Could I make the argument that with defensive shifts, ground balls are no good anymore, and that you just have to accept the fact that guys are going to hit 235, and if they can give you the bombs and the RBI, that we have to get over the average? That is 8 years ago. It just doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, I definitely think the shifts definitely hurt left-handed hitters a lot more than they do right-handed hitters. But you got to remember, man, everybody's playing on the same field. Everybody is dealing with shifts, not just one guy. So if everybody else has figured it out and a way to raise their batting averages in the whole nine, I think Bryce is going to have a huge second half. I feel like that home run derby last night got him in the groove. And I think that moment that him and his dad shared on the field last night, hey, having a father who I look up to as my hero as well, to be able to share that moment, it kind of gives you goosebumps because it was so amazing. Bryce had to win that home run derby. He had everybody here in the stadium on his side. I think this second half is going to be great for him. I also think it's going to be great for the Washington Nationals. And also, first-year manager Dave Martinez is hopefully going to, take those nerves off a little bit.
By the way, this is a weird stat. For the first time since 1939, the Yankees and Red Sox have the best records at the All-Star break, which doesn't even sound right, but it is. Now, we know, Mookie Betts, J.D. Martinez for the Red Sox, some stars. Aaron Judge. We got Sanchez. The Yankees have Torres, the young kid. They got a bunch of stars. Here's my question, though. Regular season's different. We've talked about this before. The postseason is different. You shrink your starting pitching staff. You shrink your bullpen. Yes. It becomes about situational hitting. Yankees, Red Sox, when you look at them now, I asked A-Rod this yesterday. Let's go now to October. Which team is built for the playoffs?
I tell you what, I think what's going to happen here at the trade deadline, I think there's going to be some moves that are made, and I think that is what is going to win the division. We're talking about two of the best teams we have in our game right now, two beasts of the East. It's crazy, though, because we might have two teams in the East that win 100 games, and that second-place team is going to end up in a one-game playoff. Could be against the Seattle Mariners, and all of a sudden you get James Paxton who's throwing 100 miles an hour on the left side. That could be a tough win. I think in general that they have holes in both lineups. Obviously, the New York Yankees, everyone talks about starting pitching. Everybody talks about bullpen help in Boston. I'm interested to see how everything goes down. Brian Cashman, Dave Dombrowski, those guys are amazing guys. They know exactly what they're doing. I always feel like I go with the back end of the bullpen. I feel like to win big games, you have to shut down good offenses. And the New York Yankees have a little bit better of a bullpen than the Boston Red Sox do. But I'm telling you, with the years that J.D. Martinez and Mookie Betts are having, I don't think anybody can get those guys out, man. I think at this point in time, man, it's kind of a toss-up, man. We're talking about two of the best teams in our game.
Nick Swisher, 12 baseball seasons, an All-Star, a World Series champ, 09 with the Yanks. Okay, I'm watching baseball last night, and I got a clock. And that clock creates drama, like game shows. Best game shows have a clock, and it gets me all dramatic, and it creates urgency. Would it be the worst thing in the world, Nick Swisher, for all you divas in baseball, you home run guys, you take your time, you walk out of the box, you strike. Why not put a little clock that you got to stay in the box?
Oh, man, come on, Colin. That's the only thing that separates our game from everything else. I'm telling you, I do like the clock in the home run derby because you're right. The anticipation, going down, he's got 30 seconds left. He's got to hit 5 home runs, just like Bryce did last night. I think he hit 9 home runs and 9 swings, and it was absolutely electric. I think the thing in baseball, and the commissioner is trying to do a great job, is we're trying to shrink the games anyways. We're trying to shorten them at all.
Yeah.
I don't know. As a fan, I don't think I would want to go and watch an hour and 30-minute baseball game. I just don't think I would be able to sit in my seat. I wouldn't be able to get to experience all that stuff. What you're saying is a great point, man, and there's no doubt about it. In the minor leagues, they have the pitch clock. I just think that the Major League Baseball Players Association and the union is so strong. Obviously, you're going to have to get it by those guys before you can put it on a field like this behind me.
You know what? I don't think the time of games is that big of a deal. I'm with you. I don't care if college football is 20 minutes longer than it was a decade ago, and I still like watching Ohio State, Penn State. I don't give a rip.
And we're fine with that.
Yeah.
We're fine with that.
Here's what I worry about, though, Nick. In every other sport, hockey, baseball, football, the rules say you can't stand there, you can't stand there, you can't stand there. I don't like defensive shifts. I don't think they're authentic. Right. I think it's manipulation. I think it keeps ground balls from being hits. I would ban the defensive shift, and I would totally support baseball. You're a home run hitter. Good God, this era is actually built for guys like you. You playing right now would be perfect. You would be like Kyle Schwarber. We want guys in the air. If you ban defensive shifts, are you okay with it?
I don't know, man. I'm an analytics guy. I think, like you're saying, the analytics is starting to cross over into multiple sports, into basketball, into football as well. So I think for myself, I guess I'm a fan of the shifts because it brings more thought into the game. It brings more strategy into the game. Obviously, you hear a lot. I mean, we heard it from Scott Boras, Bryce Harper's agent, talking about the shifts have really hurt his season. Well, it's hurt a lot of guys' season. It hurt my career. It hurt guys like Jason Giambi's career. If they take the shifts away, we all want to come back. Every left-hander wants to roll the ball through the right side of the infield. It kind of takes that play out of the game. I don't know, man. I feel like the game is evolving, the world is evolving, and if you're a fan of baseball, you have to evolve too, man. We can't get stuck in the past. We have to continue to keep moving forward and use all these numbers we have because, like you're saying, man, I mean, it's almost information overload. We have numbers for everything now, and if I have an added advantage, a percentage of an advantage in the game of baseball, baby, I'm going to take that.
Swish, great seeing you. Have fun tonight. It's the only all-star game in sports worth watching. Thanks for coming on the show.
You got it, man. Good to see you, Colin. Take it easy, bro.
All right, Nick Swisher. Coming up next, news on LeBron and Luke Walton. It is a very good thing. That's next. In L.A., it's The Herd. By the way, Bryce Harper's not the only thing going on for the All-Star game tonight. DC's Max Scherzer, the Nats' Max Scherzer is also the National League starting pitcher. So they have the best pitcher in the National League. He should start him. And you have Bryce Harper. So they're kind of a weird. The Nats are weird. They got a lot of talent, and they're always kind of underachieved. So it'll be fun to watch tonight. Put one more destination on your list this summer, GNC. Return for full refund if you don't get what you like. Live well with GNC. GNC.com for details. Don't try to talk yourself out of stuff you know is going to work. I mean, I understand arguing. 90% of life's pretty easy. 10% is debatable. Right? 90% of stuff, eat well, exercise a little, be a good person, raise good kids. 90% of life's easy. 10% we can argue over. You ever meet people that want to argue over 90% of life? Like, don't. The LeBron thing to LA is going to work. Stop fighting it. Vegas has it at 53 wins. They're going to win a bunch of games. best player in the world, joins the best brand. They've got a bunch of good young players, all getting better. God, Josh Hart in the summer league's just taking the damn thing over. He looks fantastic. He's going to be a bench player. He's going to be a really nice player for them, and he doesn't even start. Kyle Kuzma, Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball is not a bust. He's going to average 14 and 11. He's fine, plays a little defense. He's long, he can rebound. They're going to be fine. But yesterday, Luke Walton came out, and everybody was freaking out. Oh, my God, LeBron and Luke Walton, it's never going to work. LeBron hadn't talked to him. Never gonna work. He doesn't like him, wants him to get fired. And Luke Walton came out yesterday and said, yeah, we had a meeting. And LeBron's about the team. He's about doing things the right way. And he's about winning. Yeah, I can work with those qualities. Can we stop talking ourselves into stuff we know is not true? LeBron and the Lakers, he doesn't care about basketball anymore. Oh, wait, he showed up to the Summer League. Most star players don't go to Summer League games. LeBron and Luke Walton will not work. Oh, they met yesterday, and they hit it off. Kobe is not going to be on board. Oopsie. Kobe's totally on board. LeBron and Lonzo, I don't know if they like each other. Oh, LeBron said he can't wait to play with Lonzo Ball. You're trying to convince yourself of stuff that you know is obviously going to work. You think they're going to go from 35 wins to 36? Folks, here's why it's going to work. Two reasons why you know it's going to work. Number one, the West has one great team, Golden State. Everything else is good to dysfunctional. Portland's great. Couldn't win a playoff game again. New Orleans is great. They just lost Rondo and Boogie Cousins. San Antonio's great. They're a mess right now. They've been worse ever since Tim Duncan retired. Minnesota's great. Their players don't get along. Phoenix is rebuilding. Dallas is rebuilding. Who's great? Golden State. That's it. That's the first reason it's going to work. The second reason, it always works with LeBron. I'm not saying you always win titles, but it always works. We freak out every year in January. Cavs are a mess. Miami's not clicking. Then you look up and LeBron's in the finals. Like,
we do that every year, don't we?
Every single year in January, LeBron's like getting the, because LeBron doesn't practice at this point. He doesn't want to wear himself out at practice. So it takes LeBron the first half of the year to get the pieces to work. His practice is the games. And as I've said about the Lakers, they're not going to be great in the first half. They're not. They got a bunch of young guys. They haven't played together. LeBron doesn't love preseason or practice. He works out on his own. His feeling is, let's get better playing together in the games. He's earned that. You know, by the end, Michael Jordan wasn't probably a great practice player either. Kobe's rare. He was. Some guys aren't. Charles Barkley, Clyde Drexler were not great practice players. That's okay. Charles got to the NBA Finals, and they'll be fine by the deadline. But every year, it's like, oh, my God, they'll never... Boston's humming, Cavs are dead, and then they end up in the Eastern Conference Finals, and Game 7 in Boston, and Boston doesn't have a chance. Everything with LeBron works. It doesn't equal a title all the time. Remember, Michael Jordan, first 6 years, didn't get a title. Then he won a bunch of them, retired, came back, didn't win the first year back, won 3, retired. Rest was a mess in Washington, D.C., but everybody's trying to talk themselves why it won't. Oh, my God, Lance Stevenson, Rondo. What about them? They play defense. They compete. They have one-year contracts. By the trading deadline, if Lance Stevenson's a jerk, they'll get rid of him. If Rondo's a headache, they'll get rid of him. It's a one-year contract. Everybody wants one-year contracts in the NBA. It's going to work. They're going to win 50 games. They may win 48. They may win 52. They're not going to beat the Warriors. But, you know, everybody's trying to talk themselves out of this thing. It's like, go look at their records the last 5 years. 27 wins, 21, 17, 26, 35. Folks, they're going to have a winning record. I'm going to guarantee you that. They're going to be a little choppy in the first half. Like in sports all the time, you can't expect stuff to happen quickly. These are humans. They're alpha males. They're millionaires. They're young. They're impressionable. They're, you know, I mean... A couple of weeks ago, you know, Kobe, by the way, not all Kobe teams worked out. Not all Shaq teams. Shaq and Kobe were together for years with Del Harris. They were young and immature. They couldn't kind of synthesize their talent. They had to grow up. Phil Jackson comes in. Then it clicks. But Shaq and Kobe didn't work instantly. They didn't. Go back to their first couple of years together. It didn't work. But, I mean, Kobe Bryant's been big on this. He's like, it's all good. Remember he was on Doug Gottlieb's show a couple of weeks ago?
For him now to be a part of this Laker family, you know, it's big, man. And look, it's like once you put on that golden armor, man, it's like you become a part of this culture, you become a part of the history, and I couldn't be more excited for the city and for Rob, Magic, and Jeannie.
I can't wait. Can't wait. All right. Every day for the rest of the week, I start my second hour predicting an NFL division. Now, I am allowed tweaks if there are major injuries in the preseason. I'm allowed to have a couple. But here we go. At the top of next hour, I'm going to give you, we're doing the NFC West today. Yesterday we did the AFC West, and I went Chargers, Chiefs, Denver, and the Raiders. So we go to the NFC West. You got the Seahawks, you got Arizona, you got San Francisco, you got the Rams. And that is coming up next. Good stuff today. We also have former Green Bay Packer offensive coordinator Tom Clements coming up around the corner. Cuttino, Mobley, Tom Verducci. It's all good. It's the Herd. This is the Herd. Wherever you may be and however you may be listening, live in Los Angeles, iHeartRadio, Fox Sports Radio, FS1. Joy Taylor is joining me hour 2. I'm so excited. Tom Clements, former Notre Dame quarterback, College Football Hall of Famer, has worked with Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, been in the NFL for years as an OC, a quarterback coach, an assistant head coach, just left the Packers, has all sorts of Aaron Rodgers stories and Brett Favre stories. It's going to be fascinating stuff. He'll take you inside the game. He was a great college player himself for Notre Dame, 72, 73, 74. College Football Hall of Fame in 1994. I think he was voted into the College Football Hall of Fame, so he'll be joining us. And he's been around the block. Bill Cowher. He's worked with Mike McCarthy. He's worked with great coaches, Ditka, Mike Mularkey, and Joy Taylor's joining us. You know what time it is, Joy?
Ooh, is it NFL prediction time?
It is NFL prediction time. I put it out there. Now, first division I did was the NFC North. And I took the Packers to rebound. I think they've solved their biggest problem, which was their secondary. I think Minnesota's got a new coordinator, a new quarterback. They'll pull back a little, though I love their roster. And then I have Detroit being Detroit and Chicago being Chicago. I don't trust Mitch Trubisky. I went to the AFC North, where I think Pittsburgh is loaded to bear. I think they're going to be the number 1 seed. I think the Ravens have a Flacco-Lamar Jackson controversy going to happen. Cleveland will be the most improved team in the league. Even though they'll have the same record as the Bengals, I think they'll be a more hopeful team. I then went to the AFC East. I think the Patriots are doing something they haven't done in a long time. They're rebuilding their offensive line. They'll win the division, but they won't blow people away. I have the Jets better than the Dolphins, mostly because the Jets get 5 of their toughest games at home. The Dolphins get all 5 of their toughest games on the road. Buffalo, I love their coaching staff, but they don't have a quarterback. They don't have a quarterback. A.J. McCarron's kind of a backup player, and I don't know about the kid in Wyoming. It's a wait-and-see thing. Then I went to the NFC East, which I think is the most compelling division in football. Eagles are going to be really good. I pull back a little because, A, you win the Super Bowl, you fall in a little in love with yourself. They lost Frank Reich, a good quarterback coach. And the division's better, and the NFC's better. I do think keep your eye on the Giants. I think they have a star defensive player in every unit. They've upgraded left tackle Nate Solder, upgraded running back. OBJ's back. They did well in the draft on the offensive line. And then I did the AFC West yesterday, where I don't know what the hell's going on with the Raiders. You can't tell me John Gruden's been out 10 years, walks in, and he's great. He's going to be bailing water for 12 months. Denver, Case Keenum, I think, cannot carry a team. He can assist a team, and he's going to have to carry Denver if they're going to be big. I like Kansas City. Don't know anything about Patrick Mahomes. I got to watch him. And the Chargers, I think, have one of the best rosters in football. So today is the NFC West. Are we ready to do it? We are ready to do it. Maestro, here we go. All right, let's start with the L.A. Rams. Listen, stop the L.A. hate. We have beaches and better weather. You can't hate us for everything. LeBron to the Lakers is going to work, and this Rams roster is filthy. They were already good at wide receiver. They added Brandon Cooks. They were already good on the defensive line. They added Ndamukong Suh. They were already decent in the secondary. They added Aqib Talib and Marcus Peters. They're really good. They have the smartest young coach in the game. They're the most creative team in the game offensively. Oh, yeah, they have the best punter and the best kicker. This is a football team with one concern. One. How long can Andre Whitworth play left tackle? Because he's really good, too. And they have 3 rebuilding teams in their division. Don't listen to anybody. Seattle's rebuilding. San Francisco admits they're rebuilding. And Arizona's rebuilding. Rams will win the division. I'll get to the record in just a couple of seconds. Let's go to San Francisco next. They are rebuilding. Their offensive line still needs help, and their secondary still needs work. They are not a complete team. They are not the kind of people are getting a little too ahead of themselves here, but they do have an A for a head coach, Kyle Shanahan. I think they have a B+ at quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo. I think their defensive line talent is B to B+. Those are really important spots. I love their GM. I love their coach. I love their quarterback. Now, they added a pass-catching running back from the Minnesota Vikings, Jerick McKinnon. I like that. Not a superstar, but he can catch the ball. Watch. They have a rookie wide receiver named Dante Pettis from the Pac-12 Washington. Tremendous special teams player. Very, very good route runner. This is a team that's going to be sneaky good on offense with a good defensive line, but they're still rebuilding. And also, 5 of their last 8 games are at home, and they're all winnable. Raiders home, Giants home, Broncos home, Bears home, Seahawks home. All right, then I go with Seattle. Offensive line, it's still not very good. Running back, I got to wait and see on the rookie running back, Rashad Penny. Wide receiver, they lost their deep threat, Paul Richardson, to Washington. They feel like, to me, they've lost some momentum. Earl Thomas wants out. Cam Chancellor retired. Cliff Averill retired. There's just too many questions for me with Seattle. And again, I like Pete Carroll, but USC and Seattle feel the same. Comes in, adds energy, rinse and repeat, and then after about 5 or 6 years, everybody's heard Pete's stories, and they start tuning out, and the empowered locker room got a little political and a little talkative, and now they're taking shots at him. And Pete started it and created it, and now it's backfiring, and it feels like they've lost momentum. By the way, their November and December schedule is brutal. Brutal. Chargers, at the Rams, Packers, at Carolina, Minnesota, at the Niners, Kansas City. They got a rough schedule in November to mid-December. And finally, Arizona. I like the future of Arizona. I think Josh Rosen's going to be really, really interesting, but he's not there yet. I think they drafted Christian Kirk from Texas A&M. He's going to be really interesting, especially on special teams. He's not there yet. David Johnson does return at running back, like him a lot. But their offensive line is old and unathletic. It was ranked 27th in the league last year, and both Bradford and Josh Rosen can be a little brittle, and I worry about that. I do feel like Arizona, unlike Seattle, I think Seattle probably has some better players right now. I like the direction Arizona is headed in, but I always worry when I'm not quite sure what I'm getting with a rookie quarterback, and I don't love the offensive line. Their final 6 games, for the record, are rough. At the Chargers, at the Packers. They got to go to Atlanta, get the Rams at home, at Seattle. Even if they're kind of promising, I think they could end with a thud. So here's my prediction for the NFC West. The Rams win it at 11-5. I am concerned about Marcus Peters in that locker room and Ndamukong Suh. They are not always the greatest teammates. The Niners get to 8-8. Seattle and San Francisco. Seattle's got more talent, but I like the momentum, and I like what I get from Kyle Shanahan and Garoppolo. They'll be sneaky good offensively. Arizona's not a bad team. I like their future. I like where they're going. I just think next year, mark my words, they're going to go into that draft and free agency, and they're going to upgrade that offensive line. Because if they can get the offensive line to click, watch out for Arizona after this year. I just don't think they're there yet. And with that, All-American quarterback, College Hall of Famer. He has been over a decade in Green Bay, some years with Favre, then Aaron Rodgers, and now he's joining us on the show. Let's bring him in. Tom Clements, Packers former offensive coordinator. Well, I've read about you, I know about you, and I finally meet you. So you got a couple years of Brett Favre.
I did.
And then you got a couple years of Aaron Rodgers. And I want you to take my audience into, first of all, personalities. Brett was a Southern gunslinger. Aaron was kind of a California cool guy.
Right.
Were they, for you as a coordinator, a little bit of a culture shock? I mean, it was literally one personality, a different personality. Is that hard for you as a coordinator?
No, it's not. I think you just have to gear your approach to the guy you have. And as you say, Brett was a fun guy to be around. He was always having fun. But when it's time to play football, he'd play football. Even in practice, he'd be goofing around. But when he had to run the play, he was going to run the play, figure out what happened, and then make calculations in his mind. What went right? What went wrong? Did this guy do this? And So he was good from that. He was a great guy to be around.
Okay, so he wasn't hard to be a coordinator for.
No. I mean, he's...
he ad-libbed a lot, Tom.
Pardon me?
He ad-libbed a lot.
He did. The thing about Brett, what guys don't realize, I think, is he's the son of a coach. So he took coaching well, but when I got there, he was in his 13th or 14th year or something like that.
He was a rock star.
He was a rock star. So you're not going to try to change physically the things he does. Whereas with a younger guy, you might work on his technique and ask him to do different things. The thing with Brett, what I tried to do, at least at that point, was just get him ready mentally to play the game on Sunday. And because that's what was most important to him, is being successful on Sunday. Now, you might see something he's doing and talk to him and say, hey, why don't you try doing it this way? He'd listen. If he thought it made sense, he'd try to do it. If it didn't make sense because that's not what he did,
right?
Then he'd just say, it's just not working for me. So at that point, with Brett, I mean, it's a collaboration. Both of you know where you want to go. You want to go Sunday, play the game, win, be successful as a team, be successful individually, and that's what he was working to. And he was, if he thought what you were asking him to do would help him get there,
he'd be good.
He's all for it.
Okay, then he leaves, and you get Aaron Rodgers, young kid. I remember watching him at Cal. He was kind of mechanical.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly feel like there's two Aaron Rodgers. There's the guy that came into the league, and then there's Aaron Rodgers now. I think he's more of an ad-libber now. He's more confident. I like his throwing motion. He's a little more of a trust his instincts. He was a little mechanical when he came in. It looked like to me at Cal, a little rigid. Okay, so you go from the legend. Did you know when you were watching Aaron the first 2 years, Tom, did you think he's going to be this?
I don't know that we thought he would be as good as he is, but we knew he was going to be good because he'd do it every day in practice, going against the defense.
Was he coachable?
He's coachable, yeah. And I spent a lot of time with Aaron in his early years. We used to have something called before the current collective bargaining agreement, we had something we called a quarterback school, where it was the off season, and we spent 6 to 8 weeks just in the quarterback room with all the quarterbacks. We'd do drills out on the field with the quarterbacks to improve their fundamentals, go through the entire playbook word by word, watch the previous season, try to analyze how he would want to attack a defense. And the purpose of this was really to become a master of the offensive system.
Yeah.
And to improve fundamentally. So I spent a lot of time with Aaron, and he's very smart.
Yes.
You say something to him, he retains it. Where Brett was the gunslinger, as you say, he's kind of analytical, more surgical.
Yes. Listen, he went to Cal. They got smart people there. They have big brains at Cal.
Right.
That's nothing against Brett, but Aaron has always been a very cerebral player.
Right.
That's why I think he and Tony Romo get along. Tony's very cerebral.
Mm-hmm. I don't know Tony very well. I was with him in the Pro Bowl 1 year. But getting back to whether we knew Aaron was going to be good, we had an idea he'd be good. And then in the second year, we played Dallas. In Dallas, Brett got hurt early, hurt his shoulder. Aaron came in, had a great game. It was a losing effort, but threw his first touchdown pass to Greg Jennings. And we said, this guy's, that was the first confirmation of what we saw every day out on the practice field. Now, and then also that year, we went to the NFC Championship game. We lost to the Giants, and we go to the Pro Bowl as the coaching staff. That was our reward for losing. And, we're sitting around talking. I remember Joe Philbin, who's now the offensive coordinator with Green Bay. We're saying, hey, our guy is as good as these quarterbacks here in the Pro Bowl, or better, because we had seen him 2 years. We've seen these guys. And so those two things really kind of gave you an inkling that he'd be good. He'd be very good, but now he's great.
Yeah, he is. But listen, I've had enough people in my life that Aaron can be a little moody sometimes. He's a little aloof sometimes. He's taken some shots. There is a sense that, and I don't blame him on this, I've defended him on this, that, he hasn't always been, Tom Brady's never had a bad O-line. A lot of these quarterbacks, Pittsburgh, they've drafted the hell out of wide receivers and running backs. there's been some passive-aggressive shots, a little bit at the Green Bay front office. He won't come out and clobber you, but, he'll go on radio in Milwaukee and drop something. Is it fair to say there has been, at times, a little tension with Aaron and the organization, that he doesn't feel he wanted Jared Cook. Jared leaves. He loves Jordy Nelson. He likes his quarterback coach. I don't know his relationship with you. Is it fair to, because it feels like to me at times there's a little tension there.
I think that's probably fair to say. I mean, when you play with guys for a long period of time and you know them and you've had success with them, and then the management makes a decision and lets them go, I think initially you're going to be a little upset.
Sure.
And I think that's natural. But I don't think it's a problem that he expresses himself like that. I think that's his first reaction. But then as he moves forward, he's at that stage that I talked about that Brett was at when I got there. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he can do. He knows what he likes to do. And his ultimate goal is to be successful as a team, individually, and win some championships. So hopefully the team will do that. I think probably over the years one of the biggest drawbacks is that defensively the team hasn't been strong, at least the last couple of years. And that makes it tough because you're always getting a shootout, as opposed to if you had a good defense keeping you in the game, and then fourth quarter, if you need to win it, you go win it as a quarterback. But you got to be. It's tough week in, week out to say, okay, we got to go out and score 35, 40 points. Tom,
you've been around the league. You have coached Kansas City, New Orleans, Green Bay. There is a sense that it's hard to get everybody. Some players love to hunt and fish. They love Green Bay. Mm-hmm. A lot of players, they like the big city. Like the Rams, they call you, let's go. Miami, Dallas, Chicago. Did you feel like Green Bay is a place for certain players, but not all players?
I did not. I think people who come to Green Bay and from other places, I mean, they end up loving it. It's a great place to play, great fan base. It's like a college atmosphere.
Oh, yeah.
And really, for the most part, what's going to get a guy to one city over the other city? It's going to be the money. That's basically it.
Right. But Green Bay tends to want to develop their own guys.
Correct.
That's kind of their – which, by the way, they do a great job on the offensive line with that. Green Bay does a terrific job. Offensive linemen get good fast. So whoever's doing that in Green Bay – but it should be noted that there's a bar stool in the NFL. There's the guys you draft. There's free agents. There's re-signing your players. Could I argue that their kind of theory, which is develop our own guys, let guys go, that could be frustrating to a star quarterback?
No doubt about it. And I think that was the case when Brett was there too. It's definitely the case that the way I look at it is you have different ways to acquire talent, and you should utilize all those ways. You have the draft, you have the free agency, you can sign your own guys. And we didn't delve too frequently into free agency.
You didn't know.
Times we did, it kind of worked out. You got Charles Woodson, Julius Peppers. Charles Woodson was a catalyst for getting us to the Super Bowl.
I think you've done pretty well on free agency. In fact, the times you got burnt when you let guys go, like the kid at the Chargers right now, the corners, Hayward.
Right, Casey Hayward.
Hayward. It's like, I would have re-signed him, and he went for the Chargers, and they feel like they hit a home run with him. By the way, Aaron did say something once. He said, listen, he went on a radio station in Milwaukee, and he said, listen, players play, coaches coach here in Green Bay. He sounded a little sullen. Couldn't I argue that Aaron, Magic Johnson's going to ask LeBron, hey, I like this guard. What do you think? Hasn't Aaron earned the right to Aaron, what do you think of this wide receiver? Look at him on tape. Hasn't he earned that?
I think at this point it would make sense to don't give him veto power or say, I want this guy or that guy, but to get his opinion. I don't see anything wrong with that because I read that, what you're talking about, how Magic's going to handle LeBron. And the way it came down, the way I read it was LeBron knows these guys better than management. He talks to them. He sees them.
He guards them.
He plays against them. They guard him. So his input is important, I think. And I think it'd probably be the same with Aaron. So you can't, if you're going to can't let the guys pick and choose the roster, but I don't think it hurts to have him give his opinion.
Plus, Aaron's a smart guy. I want Aaron's opinion on stuff.
Sure,
I
no
do.
doubt.
Like LeBron. LeBron's a smart guy. I want his opinion on stuff.
He's going to tell you what he thinks, good, bad, about what you might be planning on doing.
Yeah, and there's a lot of times in sports, Tom, it's interesting. You played quarterback. You know this very well. You have your offensive line in front of you, and there are certain things the tape mostly shows, and there's other things the tape doesn't show.
Correct. Sure.
And when you were a quarterback for Notre Dame, there may have been a player or two that you would never tell this to, but on 3rd and short, and if you were going to throw it, there's one guy you probably wouldn't throw it to. You didn't trust him just a little. You trusted one guy's route better than another guy's route, but on film, you may not know it, but you knew it as the quarterback. And that's what I think where Aaron can give me is, okay, listen, this guy on 3rd is going to hit that dig route every single time.
Right.
And I don't know. I think that it's like analytics. I love him, Tom, but I can't live by him.
I agree with that.
I like him,
yeah.
but I call him analytics. There are some guys in that room you want to go into a foxhole with, and it doesn't show up on analytics on paper, but they're foxhole guys.
I agree. I mean, that's a player or a talent evaluator watching film and just talking to maybe other people in management about a particular guy, you don't get the true sense. But if your players talk among themselves,
oh God, yeah,
they're out there on the field, they know what's going on, they know what kind of guy he is, how he'd be in the locker room. They can give you just maybe a little bit more information to make the correct decision.
A little truth,
I think that's all you need to get from him.
Tom Clements, good meeting you. Nice having you on the show. Coming up next, we go to the All-Star game, Tom Verducci in D.C., and Todd Gurley says, why can't I get paid like an NBA guy? We'll talk about that next. The Herd.
Catch Home Run Derby champ Bryce Harper and the rest of baseball's biggest stars for an unforgettable show from the nation's capital. The MLB All-Star game tonight at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, only on Fox, or stream it live on the Fox Sports app.
Big stuff. Manny Machado is going to get traded to the Phillies or Dodgers. That's the big news today. Manny Machado. Max Scherzer, Bryce Harper, Mike Trout, Aaron Judge, all the stars tonight. Car shopping's confusing. A lot of terms, dealer price, list price, invoice. Here's what's not confusing. Save $3,000 off MSRP. Transparency, new or used, TrueCar.com. Todd Gurley's a great running back, and he plays for the L.A. Rams. And I wanted to get to this. I hadn't touched on it much last week. He said, us NFL players, we're just mad about NBA contracts right now. He told Gary Klein, my buddy, L.A. Times, I just want like $80 million. Those guys are getting like $150 million. It's just crazy. It's insane. Listen, NFL guys are never going to get NBA and baseball money. You don't get into the NFL. It's like I work in radio, right? You don't get into radio to get rich. Now, Rush Limbaugh's rich, but you don't get into radio to get rich. You get into radio because you like it and you can make a decent living. The NFL's got 16 games. The NBA's got 82. Baseball's got double that. It's an inventory. It's an inventory argument. The NFL's got a 50-man roster, so they only have 16 games, and I got to feed 50 mouths. NBA's got 82 games. Most teams make the playoffs. And, oh, by the way, I got a, 13-man roster? Not many paychecks to write. The NFL guys, by the way, here's another thing. Football's very specialized. Okay? An NBA guy plays offense and defense. A baseball guy, outside of the DH, offense and defense. In the NFL, a running back, average carries 15 to 17 a game. That's it. You're special. You don't play any defense. By the way, NFL running backs, it's rare when a guy can catch, can run and block. Ezekiel Elliott. Most guys are like, yeah, he's a pretty good pass blocker, and he's a good runner between the tackles. He can't catch. It's very rare when a specialized football player can do multiple. Hines Ward could make the catch and block. A lot of wide receivers, OBJ, he can go deep, but he doesn't want to go over the middle all the time, and he can't block. So football is a very specialized sport with very few games on a massive roster. And the other thing is, and this is just the way it works, there's two sports where athletes make a lot of money with their equipment, golf and basketball. Now, OBJ with the Giants just got a big shoe deal. That's unheard of. And maybe that's the kind of magic bullet in football, and that sort of is the genesis for now guys, stars getting shoe deals. But that's the reality of it. If you want to make money, don't play football. And I don't blame the teams for not wanting to pay most players long-term deals because you have a regulated level of violence. And so, and when's the last time you're in the playoffs and you're like, oh, my God, A.Smith, torn rotator cuff? That doesn't happen. But in baseball, all the time, you're like, big series in September. Oh, pitcher out. Rest of the season, rotator cuff. You know, I mean, it's like the NFL, you got, it's a lot of stuff, man. You got guys getting hurt all the time. Baseball, you occasionally have a pitcher with a rotator cuff, but mostly baseball guys can stay healthy. They go in a quick IR. They're back. Football guys, it is unheard of in football that at the end of the year, you have the same roster at the beginning of the year. Now, baseball, you'll lose a pitcher. Every staff will lose a pitcher. But the guys usually come back in baseball. You know, you guys out in July is on the DL. Analytics guys like to put those pitchers in July and August on the DL. Oh, they're ready to go in the playoffs. Football, you start a season with that roster, you don't end the season with the same roster. I tell the story years ago. I remember when the New York Giants beat the Patriots, the 18-0 Patriots. I never forget this. I'm listening to the radio. It was right before the game started. I went on a beer run. And I'm in the grocery store in West Hartford, Connecticut. I get in my car to drive home, and the New York Giants announcer, it's Bob Papa, very good announcer. Bob Papa's like, you know what's amazing? They had the same roster week 1 and week 20, except for one special teams player. Nobody's been hurt. And I'm like, that's unbelievable. Like last year, the L.A. Rams didn't have a major injury until like the kicker got hurt in December. Well, the Rams never got hurt last year. Robert Woods, wide receiver, missed a couple of games, came back, and then the kicker got hurt late. The Rams were never hurt. That never happens. So running backs, you don't play a lot of games. You're too specialized. You get hurt often. Teams don't want to give you long-term deals. I totally get it. Todd Gurley, you can make $80 million in football. That's a good life. You're not going to make money in your shoes, and you're not going to play as long as NBA guys. You were 7 years old. You picked the wrong sport. What can I say? If you wanted to get rich, you shouldn't get in football. Joy with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herdline News.
Let's talk about those NBA guys. USA basketball's minicamp begins next week in Las Vegas. LeBron was not there over the weekend. He was there over the weekend to check out his new Laker teammates, but he will not be back for minicamp. And now Woj and Ramona Shelburne have reported that Kawhi Leonard is seriously considering participating. You know who's coaching Team USA? It's Greg Popovich.
Yeah, what do you make of that? He's got to play.
I think he's going to play. There's no need for LeBron to play. I don't have any problem with LeBron sitting out and not playing it anymore.
It's 16th year.
Yeah,
you don't need to prove anything to me. You're a Patriot. I get it.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with that. I do think it's interesting though that Pop is going to be coaching Kawhi if he participates. It is an opportunity for them to spend a little time together and maybe mend the fences.
You know, here's just something to throw at you. So, if you look at a lot of great coaches in the history of sports, like, you know, Bobby Knight, Phil Jackson, all these coaches, the key is when you're a coach, as you age, don't get stubborn because cultures change and players change. The Lakers, the San Antonio Spurs, according to published reports, the Lakers offered like 2 players, 2 draft picks, and now it's like the Lakers that they got LeBron. Lakers have basically taken all that stuff off the board. Did Popovich do a Bobby Knight? Did he get rigid, full of himself, and put, you got to give me this to get Kawhi? And the Lakers have now said, we're not giving you anything. We'll never know this, but is it possible that he could have gotten Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, 2 draft picks, and now the Lakers have watched Josh Hart in the Summer League, and they're like, okay, we're not giving you him. And then LeBron comes, and it's like, well, we're not giving you a bunch of draft picks. And then Brandon Ingram, it's like, no, we're not going to give you him either. I just wonder what kills veteran coaches that get into their 60s. Like Nick Saban is not rigid. Nick Saban went to the no-huddle offense. He went to mobile quarterbacks. He did the spread offense. That's why Nick's still winning. He wasn't old school. He adapted. Did Greg Popovich have a bunch of picks and players on the table? He got rigid. He got stubborn. And the Lakers now are like, no, we'll just wait for him to come and give you nothing. I wonder.
I mean, it's possible. I think we will eventually find out down the road what was the genesis of this whole Kawhi Pop saga. But Windhorst did report that the Lakers have backed off of trying to get him. So, and the Raptors are in first place.
Yeah.
I don't know about that, but I do think it's interesting your thoughts on it. It's hard for coaches to adapt, especially when they've had a high level of success. You're seeing that with Belichick also last year, and all the stuff that's happening this year with Brady and Guerrero.
They got trophies, they got stacks of money, and they're like, no, I'm going to do it my way. And it's like, no, cultures change, kids change.
You do have to adapt, but there is something to sticking to what's worked for you also. So I think you have to find a balance there.
Yes, I agree with that.
So LeVar Ball heard you, Colin. After the news of Lonzo's torn meniscus leak, there was a lot of speculation that the timing seemed a little strange for it to be a coincidence. There's some trade rumors out there about Lonzo, and then he has a torn meniscus. You said that it probably came from his camp.
I think LeVar leaked that story so they wouldn't trade Lonzo.
All right, well, TMZ caught up with LeVar, and he has denied being the leak. And he has a pretty solid defense, Colin. Let's take a listen.
There's a story that broke about Lonzo's injury, that it was coming from his camp.
First of all, Lonzo don't have a camp. We're a family.
Right.
Camp is when you put a bunch of guys together that you don't know. That's a camp.
Fair enough.
But you never heard me talk. You never heard me say, oh, Lonzo's hurt. Oh, his back is hurt.
Right.
You never heard me talk
but
like that.
But the media reports are that it was to devalue his trade value.
They can say whatever they want.
So, but it didn't come from you guys, is what you're saying.
Why would it come from me? I don't talk like that.
Right.
I don't baby nothing. I don't be like, you know what? My son is hurt, and I don't think it. I'm never like that.
Okay. LeVar does speak his mind when and where he feels like it. It's a pretty good defense. He's not really the sneaky, passive-aggressive
who
type.
leaked the story? Lakers didn't leak it. You know the Lakers didn't want it out there.
Lakers may not have wanted. I mean, look, there's other people that know about injuries. You know, there's doctors, there's friends. You can't keep everything from everyone. But I do believe LeVar did not put it out there.
Well, I mean, the moon landing was fake, and we've kept it all these years from the public.
You've come around to that, Colin?
No.
Finally.
I'm Kyrie Irving, son.
All right. Dak Prescott and members of his receiving corps are spending their offseason developing their chemistry in a team bonding trip to Disney World last week. Dak and receivers Michael Gallup, Deontay Thompson, Lance Lenore Jr., and Alan Hearns spent time in Toy Story Land. You a Disney?
Oh, I've been to Disney.
Guy?
I used to work for that company, yeah.
Do you like Orlando? Or Disney in Orlando is pretty amazing.
Well, Orlando's much bigger than Disneyland's. There's way more to do. Way, more hotels.
Well, there's 3 parks there, too.
Yeah, it's massive. They have a water park that's amazing.
I love Epcot. Drink around
I think
the world.
Orlando, I'd rather go to Disney World than Disneyland. Just more to do.
Absolutely.
Cooler.
Plus, there's Epcot there.
Yeah.
Which is the best. But what do you think about Disney bonding?
No.
You know what I always see at Disney?
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, you know what? I've never gone to Disney and not had fun.
Oh, it's a wonderful place.
It's wonderful.
It's the happiest place on earth. How can you go to Disney and not have fun? I've gone to Disney in the rain and had an amazing time.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what I always see at Disney is the bachelor parties with the matching shirts.
Who does that?
You would be surprised. There's lots of bachelorette parties that go because they go to Epcot and they wear the little ears with
There
the
is
veil.
something fun to have a friend and you think you know him and then you find out he's petrified of roller coasters and it makes him really vulnerable for the rest of your relationship. It's like Bob is afraid of roller coasters.
Or is it the friend that says, hey guys, it's my bachelor party and we're going to Disney World. We're going to wear matching shirts.
That's not going to work with me. I'm way too cool for that. I think it's been established.
Not your swag.
I just wear what I want to wear. Joy with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Line News.
The process is in trouble in Philadelphia. And hey, am I crazy or did you see something last night that was really smart? And I don't know why we don't see more of it. That's coming up. Geico's been saving people money for 75 years. They know what they're doing. Pretty simple. Want to save money? Geico.com. Geico.com. So listen, the NBA gives us, Joy, the buzzer beater. And everybody loves the buzzer beater. Baseball, the knock on baseball, there's not a ton of urgency with baseball, right? 162 games. When you do get urgency, like in October, Yankees, Red Sox, ALCS, baseball's great. Cleveland Indians, Cubs, Game 7, baseball's great. I've said this before. If you give me playoff baseball in a random Week 4 NFL, if it's a great baseball series, I'll tune to it. I like urgency. I like games that matter, have meaning. Last night, all great game shows have a clock. Anybody else notice what the clock did last night? Now, they're doing this in minor league baseball. Watch the clock last night and how it creates a sense of drama and urgency.
There goes another, so Harper now double digits.
It seems like if he gets a ball near the zone, it's a home run, so you just got to get him close.
Yep, he's in another groove here with 12 and 13. Here goes 14. Here comes Bryce Harper.
Oh, my goodness, this is getting fun. This is going to be interesting.
This is going to be over soon.
Oh, wow.
Another one.
Oh, my goodness.
30 seconds of bonus time. That one could pull him within one. She's got 30 seconds.
Yes.
That was a huge round for Harper.
God, how great is that? I mean, God, how great is that? And it's BP between a dad and a son. I mean, it's just like...
Even the guys on the broadcast go, this is fun.
Yes. It's like, look at what the clock does. Oh, my God, got to get it in. Here's a clock. I like analytics. I believe in Manalytics, 30%, analytics, 70%. You can't turn players into numbers. But the one, I would change the defensive shift. I think it's hurting ground balls getting through. That means base runners. That means steals. That means plays at the plate. I like activity, not inactivity. Also, putting a little clock on stuff, it's amazing what it does to game shows. By the way, the NBA even puts a clock on their free agency. At midnight, you can get, what's it do? It drives us at midnight to stay up. Clocks create drama. God, that's the best baseball moment of the season. How great was that?
It was amazing to watch, but I think that overall, just as a society, we are much less patient than we ever were. We get everything right at the tip of our fingers immediately whenever we want it, so we're incredibly spoiled in that regard. So it becomes tougher to consume something that has, it's like, well, when we don't know when it's going to be over, we don't know how long this is going to take, and it's just a harder thing to consume. That made you feel like you can't take your eyes off of it for 1 second.
God, that was good.
Literally 1 second is going to make a difference. You can't look away.
That was so much fun. By the way, report 76ers tried and failed to lure Rockets GM Daryl Morey to their front office. Daryl Morey said no thanks. So let's see. LeBron said no thanks. Paul George said no thanks. Daryl Morey said no thanks. Oh, here's another story. The Sixers have given up trying to get Kawhi Leonard. No thanks. You know what the process has become? What's the past tense of process? Processed. Yeah, like nobody likes processed food. The process has become processed. Like, you don't have a GM. You flew to L.A. with a bag of money to meet with LeBron, and he didn't even phone in to the meeting. Didn't show up, didn't phone in. The Warriors didn't have a catchy nickname in their rebuild, and the Celtics don't have a catchy nickname in their rebuild. Listen, man, I get, like in boxing, Muhammad Ali was the greatest. I'm not sure if it was a nickname, but did Sugar Ray Leonard have a nickname? And I don't know, did Muhammad Ali, did George Foreman? I get that nicknames. Did Rod Carew have a nickname? Pete Rose did. But I think we've given the process, because it's fun, it has a nickname. Boston's rebuild doesn't have a nickname, and it's way better. It's way better. They're way better. And now their two best players are coming back, and they're going to be way, way better. I look at Philadelphia, and all the media just loves the catchy nickname. Kawhi, they're out. LeBron, nope. Paul George, nope. Daryl Morey, nope. Markelle Fultz, bust. And you got two stars, one who spent the summer hanging out with Kendall Jenner in L.A., and the other who's great on social media, but cross your fingers on his health. I'm not anti-Philadelphia. It's just, I see this story this morning. Daryl Morey, no thanks. They're out on the Kawhi Leonard stuff. And I keep saying this. Okay, so they weren't really, they beat Miami in the playoffs. But the Lakers, if they were in the West, could have beaten Miami in the playoffs. You do get the Lakers last year didn't have a nickname for their rebuild. They beat Houston in Houston. They beat LeBron in Cleveland. They beat San Antonio. Like the Lakers in the West won 35 games. That's like winning 44 games in the East. And by the way, the Sixers didn't really click last year until they got into a big winning streak late, which they were playing multiple teams that were tanking. Then they beat Miami, and then they couldn't beat Boston. It's like, I like what they're doing. I love Ben Simmons. I really like Joel Embiid. But you need more shooters. You need a GM, and you're getting no's from all the elite people in the league. Elite GM, elite player, elite wing, another elite player in Kawhi. I don't know. Never forget the process started for about 3 years of the Sixers just drafting the tallest college player available. As the league was becoming a shooting league, they just kept drafting bigs. Okafor, Nerlens Noel. Finally, they hit on Joel Embiid. But, I mean, the process started with, who's the tallest guy available in the draft? Let's get him. Nerlens Noel, Okafor, kind of busts. Joel Embiid didn't play for 2 years. So it's not that I don't like it. It's just I think the media is I think the Lakers rebuild is really good. I think the Celtics is better. They just don't have nicknames. I don't know. Don't be that guy in the room with a long, sloppy-looking untucked shirt. Untuckit.com. Shirts made to fall to perfect length. GQ calls them perfection. Go there right now. Untuckit.com. The code is HERD. Always is. HERD. For all the purchases. Untuckit.com. Code HERD. Last hour coming up. Cuttino, Mobley, Tom Verducci from the All-Star Game. I think it's going to be our best hour. All fired up for it. Joey joins me. In L.A., it's the Herd. This is the Herd. Hour number 3, live in Los Angeles. iHeartRadio, Fox Sports Radio, FS1. Joey Taylor is joining me. I think it'll be our best hour. Hour number 3. Cuttino Mobley is going to be joining us. 11-year NBA vet. He was great last time he was on the show. And he's going to be here in 10 minutes. Also, Tom Verducci. I love Tom Verducci. Smartest baseball writer out there. Best baseball writer in the last 10 years. And he'll join us live at the bottom of the hour from D.C., where you have the All-Star Game tonight on Fox. But last night, Bryce Harper stole the show, won the Home Run Derby. So let me start with this. Last night was the best day of the year so far in baseball. Why? Because baseball wasn't rigid. Baseball didn't have unwritten rules. Last night was about peacocking, puffing your chest out, strutting, take the helmet off. Dad throws me BP, showing off, little flair. You know why Bryce Harper didn't wear a helmet. You know why he wore that bandana, so you could see his hair, so you could see his handsome face, so he could be a rock star. Isn't it funny? The individual gets a little love in baseball. Almost felt like WWE mixed with the NBA, right? God, baseball was fun last night. Baseball was dramatic last night. Baseball had personality last night. No helmet. By the way, bandanas, if you do something cool and you're wearing a bandana when you do it, it's twice as cool. Now, if you do something awful and you're wearing a bandana, they give you nicknames like Gator. But last night was great. Last night was personality. Last night was peacocking. Last night was flexing. Last night was swagger. Last night was personality, which is why I talk NBA all through July now. Why didn't baseball do more of that? Ask yourself, didn't Bryce Harper feel a little different than everybody else? Kyle Schwarber's a baseball slugger. Bryce Harper's a rock star. The narrative going into last night's game, his OPS is down. I don't know if he's going to get $300 million. Oh, really? After last night, he's getting $450 million. What owner didn't watch that and go, oh, give me a piece of that? My stadium's kind of flat. My stadium's got empty seats. I don't know if he leads in OPS, but I'll tell you what he leads in. BIS, butts in seats. RSQ, rock star quotient. HYG, hide your girl. That, my friends, is what guys like me talk about. It's not my job to make you interesting. I have no obligation to talk any sport. It is your job to get interesting. United States men's national soccer team, get better and less arrogant. Otherwise, no soup for you. Last night was great. By the way, if you missed it, here's just a little sample of the fun last night with Bryce Harper playing to the crowd.
There it is! Center field, and Bryce Harper has thrown his 2018 T-Mobile Home Run Derby, and he loves it.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. Put a clock to it. Created urgency. Created drama. And from day one, Bryce Harper, when he broke into this league, said he asked his teammates, he begged of his teammates, don't throw at home run hitters who stare. That's me. You're throwing at me. Don't throw at guys who do that. Baseball needs to be great again. It used to be the water cooler conversation. Last night it was. It was fun. It was big. I could lead my show with Kawhi Leonard. Could have easily today. If Bryce Harper wasn't in that and it was just a bunch of baseball dudes hitting bombs at batting practice, he added the personality to it. But baseball's always played to its nerds, baseball nerds. They're like scorpions. You can't kill them. They never die. Don't worry about them. They're not going anywhere. They'll sit in humidity in St. Louis for a team 19 games under 500. They're not going anywhere. What you want to get is casual fans. Last night, I'm not even a big home run derby fan. I think the home run derby and the Pro Bowl are mostly unwatchable.
Oh, I love the home run derby.
I know. America does. And last night, I'm like, oh, yeah, Bryce Harper, D.C., I got to watch this. No helmet, bandana, patriotic socks.
But you know why people love it is because it's an opportunity for guys to show off their personality. It's everything that you're talking about.
That got a higher rating than any baseball game. And he's been telling people, I want to make baseball fun. Pyrotechnics, big stage, showing off. Did you hear him after he won? I mean, how do you not, as an owner, not want this guy on your roster?
Oh, unbelievable. I freaking love this crowd. Every single night they come out and support us. Washington Nationals, baby. Let's go. Nice job.
He's Kevin Bacon. Remember Footloose? Kevin Bacon lived in a town where you could no longer dance. That's Bryce Harper. And Bryce Harper said last night, let's dance. That was awesome. All right, Jason Whitlock on Speak for Yourself said something yesterday. And boy, I am hearing a lot of this. I am hearing a lot of this. And I got to tell you, as I'm rolling my eyes at it. Here's what Jason Whitlock said about LeBron James taking over in L.A. for Kobe Bryant and Kobe Bryant fans not liking him.
He and Kobe were rivals. And I think Laker fans, a significant portion of them, bought into that rivalry. And so show me when a great player has ever, toward the tail end of his career, moved to a team that saw him as a rival and gets fully embraced. LeBron is used to going to Cleveland or Miami, and oh my God, he's here, and I can't believe it.
So you really
here in LA, that's not the standard.
Really? I don't know. Los Angeles likes stars, and they love basketball. And let me check this real quick. The Lakers in the last 5 years have won, I'm just reading this, 27 games. 21-17, 26-35. Yeah, I'm sure they're going to be heartbroken to win 54. People say a lot of things. I'm going to eat healthy. I'm going to work out every day. And then people do different things. People now are going to say things like, I will never root for LeBron James. And then he's going to come out on a Tuesday night against like a Portland, and he's going to do this.
LeBron turned the corner inside! He made Yusuf Nurkic a screensaver! 15-14! The Kevlar bench is going nuts! LeBron James with a dance to the hoop control the hammer.
Oh, and you're just going to stay in your seat for that. Oh, okay. Tuesday night, you work hard, you go to a game, LeBron goes down the lane and does that, and you're not going to stand. You're going to sit in your chair and go, no, I prefer Kobe. And then on Thursday night, you go to the game again. You put a lot of work in. Those are expensive tickets. You take your kids. LeBron goes down the lane, and he does this.
29-26 LeBron. He rattled the building. That's what they came to see. My chair is shaking.
And you're still sitting in your seat. Arms crossed. I am not enjoying this whatsoever. Folks, you love Jerry West. He was your favorite all-time Laker. And then Magic came to town and you liked him more. And then Magic was your favorite Laker. And then Kobe came to town. And now Kobe's your favorite Laker. And you love Wilt and Kareem came to town. And then you love Kareem and Shaq came to town. And now you love Kobe and LeBron comes to town. You're all building walls and you're building fences and you don't want to have the new neighbor in town. But what happens when the neighbor's cool? What happens when the neighbor makes the neighborhood better? He's got fun kids, got a hot wife, social drinker, invite you over, parties are better, kids are cool, big backyard, invite you over, bouncy house every weekend. It's fun, man. Kobe Bryant gets it. Of all the people that could be parochial, it's Kobe Bryant. What was his reaction? Welcome to the fam, King James. Because Kobe gets it. This is a star town that loves basketball. They just got the biggest star in the league, and he's really, really good at that basketball thing. Stop telling me you don't want to watch it. You don't need to be loyal to Kobe. Kobe gets it. This town has been full of guys you love. Kareem. Oh, here's Shaq. Wilt. Oh, here's Kareem. Jerry West. Oh, here's Magic. Magic. Here's Kobe. Kobe. And now, here's LeBron. Over a decade in the NBA, drafted in the second round and made the most of it. Our friend Cuttino Mobley, stylish as ever, is joining us in the herd. Bring it on. He's got the pocket square today. You just don't come to the show. You bring something to the show.
I try to. I have an image.
That's right.
My peers, they'll make fun of you if I try to wear what they wear.
Well, I saw you the other day in the Big Three, and you were all swagged out and looked cool. You look very nice. By the way, I'm laughing at everybody. They keep trying to convince me why the LeBron to the Lakers thing's not going to work. And I'm like, I've been watching this league for 4 decades. You put a great player on a group of young guys that hustle and a decent coach, it works, right?
Well, listen, you need yin and yang, right? You need the people to say it's not going to work. You need the people to say it's going to work. And I think the people that say it's not going to work, they're delusional, right? Because LeBron James is 15 years of excellence, and he took a team in 2007. What do you have? Like a pack of, marbles? I mean, it's just ridiculous. What are we doing here, right?
Cuttino, it's funny. You played long enough that you respect the older generation and you get the new generation. I was saying this yesterday. Ronaldo is now in year 16, and he's magical.
He's amazing.
And Brady's 40, and he was the best quarterback in the league.
Ronaldo and LeBron are what, the same age, 33?
Same age, just moved to a new team.
Unbelievable.
And I go back to this. Michael Jordan was a smoker, and cigars, and gambling, and cards, and steak.
Never slept. He never slept.
Okay.
36 holes in the morning.
So I look at it, and I'm like, Michael went to the Wizards at 38. Mm-hmm. I saw him play at 40 in Portland, and he was the best player on the floor. And they had Bonzi Wells and Damon Stoudemire. Right. They had guys, right? They had real NBA players.
Right.
Like, I look at LeBron at 33, and I'm like, diet, nutrition, he's like 31.
You know what? Yeah, he's probably like 29, right? But I think what separates the LeBrons and the Michaels during this time of dominance is more psychological. So they win before they get on the court. Right? Like, they're doing so well that when they get on the court, the respect that other players have for them is so high that the other players are defeated before they even play them.
I'll think about this, Cuttino. Michael went to the floor. Dwayne Wade went to the floor. In the last 12 years, it's a cardio league. It's not a rebound league. It is a cardiovascular league. So LeBron's not hitting the floor 9 times a game.
No, he's not.
He's not. I mean, Michael Jordan was – I remember watching Michael Jordan when he came in the league, and my high school coach, James Kahn, said, he's never going to last. Yeah. He's got to get a jumper.
That is true.
Nobody hits the deck anymore.
Yeah, Dwayne Wade hit the floor all the time. He might be the clumsiest athlete and I love you, D. Wade. I love you so much, but geez, bro.
He could have extended his career 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a football player.
Is it his equilibrium?
No, you know what it is? You know what it is with Dwayne Wade? Dwayne's a scorer. Joy, you covered him. He's a scorer. He's not a gifted shooter. So he goes to the, guys like Westbrook who aren't brilliant perimeter shooters want to score at the rim.
Yeah.
So when you score at the rim, you hit bigs, you're down. Bigs don't hit you anymore. By the way, the centers are now European guys. They weigh 240, not 290.
Right, or 300, like 310. Like that's heavy.
And it's like I would say this with Tom Brady, Cuttino. People are like, how does he play at 40? It's a bubble screen league.
Yeah.
Tom doesn't get smoked. Tom doesn't get hit like that.
Well, they protect the quarterbacks a lot more than they used to, right?
And LeBron's protected. Yeah. You can't hand check. You can't lean on him. Right. Nobody knocks him to the floor.
Not like the big three. Like, this is ridiculous. When I say it's physical, it's physical.
Go back to your first year in the NBA, 1989. What was your first year in the NBA?
No, my first year in the NBA was 1998, 99.
Okay, how physical was it? Take my audience back to now. That's only 20 years ago. How physical was it?
Well, Shaq broke my ribs, and then when they healed, Karl Malone broke the other one. That's the honest to God truth. Honest to God truth. So John Stockton. We're coming down the court, and I'm guarding John Stockton. You know, I'm turning him. And John's like, watch out for this pick. Watch out for this pick. He kept telling me, watch out for this pick. And then I get hit, pow. And then I'm on the floor. He's like, I told you to watch out for this pick. Now I can't breathe. My ribs because of Karl. I mean, it's just, that's how it was. You know, you don't have guys that big and thick like that anymore.
No, centers are, there was a stat this year. European centers tend to be more finesse. I mean, it's just the way the game is. They face the basket. They're not back to the basket. You know, were you surprised at all that Paul George went to OKC?
Super surprised.
Why?
First of all, I'm looking at how he played last year. Didn't have a bad year. He had a good year. But I'm just thinking to get your own team, right? And the inconsistency I saw last year in his play.
Pretty bad in the playoffs. Had a couple bad games.
Right. And I think it was just the rhythm was off, right? The rhythm was off. So I'm thinking, all right, let me go somewhere else where I have like Alonzo Ball that's going to dish that ball to me, and I can be the Paul George that everybody knew from before. Not saying you weren't last year, but it just wasn't that Paul that I
think you got the right word. The rhythm was off last year.
The rhythm's off.
It is. Westbrook is, listen, he's talented. He can be difficult to play with.
Yeah.
He's ball-centric. He pounds the ball. He's a shoot first. You're laughing at me, Joy, but I think he's difficult to play with.
I'm sorry. How you doing, Joy?
I can see that.
He's difficult to play with.
You always got to give him a hard time.
I think that's being a journalist.
I played with a ball-dominant guard. Steve Francis.
Oh, what was it like?
Listen, he's my brother. I love him to death. But, I mean, it's dribble, and then I'm going to pass it to you, opposed to it more being like a Jason Kidd, Lonzo Ball, LeBron James-ish, right? Magic Johnson, where it's in the flow. And I'm a scorer. Paul George is a scorer. So I need that ball now.
Did you ever tell Steve Francis, Stevie, I love you, franchise? You two are talking right there. Did you ever tell him?
I think I'm cussing him out right there very calmly.
What do you do when you're a scorer and you have a ball-centric guard? How do you communicate to him subtly, give me the damn ball?
That's exactly what I said. Give me the damn ball.
Did he do it?
No, for sure. For sure. He helped me out. Yeah, but we were brothers, right? Like, it was – I mean, it got to times in the fourth quarter where Rudy would come and draw a play up and he'd say, who wants it? And Steve would look at me. I look at him like, listen, what you feel like? He like, you take it. All right, I got it. It's my turn. Like, we'll do that.
So you were tight.
Yeah, we were tight. I
love to hear that.
Yeah.
I didn't freak out when Boogie Cousins went to the Warriors. I really didn't. My takeaway was, ain't going to play till March. I'm not sure he makes people better. And also, they're kind of better when they have a small lineup. I'm not sure a big, thick center. If he's dropping 27 a game, it's hurting Durant and Steph. I don't see Boogie Cousins as the end of the season. I actually think Trevor Ariza leaving Houston.
Big.
Huge. Not the same play. I mean, they can't defend Durant now like they did. Luke Mbamute. So
that's huge.
When you look at Boogie Cousins, does it work in Golden State?
I think it does. I think because now Boogie gets to rehab better, right? And he understands that. I think Boogie's great on a team like this because Boogie's so talented passing, right? He's a great scorer. And when you have a team like this, these guys' IQ is so high.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, Boogie's antics and the things that he does seems like he may not have an high IQ, but his IQ is super high. So being with these guys is going to make his life a lot easier coming back from an Achilles injury where he doesn't have to do so much. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, I don't think you can correlate IQ and, Rondo is difficult. He's one of the most cerebral players in the league.
Oh, my God. He's
one
of my favorites.
Yeah, no, Rondo's
ever.
one of the smartest professional athletes in America, and Rondo's difficult.
Right. You have LeBron James and Rondo on the same team. To me,
I love that move.
You have a chance.
It's so
big
funny.
Chance.
Boogie to the Warriors got all the headlines, and I was like, Trevor Ariza leaving Houston and Rondo to the Lakers, to me, felt like huge moves.
Okay, so I'm going to say this. No disrespect against Bob Myers, who's one of my close friends. I love Steve Nash. I love the whole Golden State organization and what they've done. But they have escaped 4 years of someone getting hurt, kicked out, or whatever it is. Just think about it. San Antonio had them on the ropes 2 years ago.
Kawhi gets hurt. Right? Houston had him on the ropes. Yeah. Chris Paul gets hurt.
I like what Rob said, Pelinka. Listen, we're not going to outscore you, but we probably can get some tough guys. Lance, LeBron, Rondo.
Kuzma, I think, has got some dog in him.
He's going to have to learn to have that dog in him. Right? So when you have that, and it's great when you're young, because now I can mold you into being a dog. If not, you know who you are, you got to get out of here. But I like them with the team that they have.
You're better dressed right now than I ever have been in my life. I've never had a suit on in my life, seriously, that looks like that. I look like a farmer when I go out. You literally look like you should be in the first row on Broadway. You are buttoned up, my friend.
Thank you, brother.
I love having you on.
Thanks, man.
Big three, co-captain of Power, 3-1 record, Cuttino, Mobley. Good stuff. Tom Verducci, All-Star Game, another guy I love.
Catch Home Run Derby champ Bryce Harper and the rest of baseball's biggest stars for an unforgettable show from the nation's capital. The MLB All-Star Game tonight at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, only on Fox, or stream it live on the Fox Sports app.
Manny Machado could be a Dodger or a Philly within the hour. Tom Verducci from the All-Star Game will join us in less than 10 minutes. Emmy Award winner Tom Verducci in 10 minutes. That would be a huge move. Dodgers and Phillies are Dodgers playing well right now. A guy named Max Muncy came out of nowhere. Matt Kemp's had a ridiculous year. We thought he was, buried and gone. Here's Joy with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
All right, Colin, Le'Veon Bell will not take part in training camp for the Steelers for a second consecutive year this summer. He has no plans to stretch his holdout into the regular season. There has been some talk about Bell potentially sitting out the first several weeks of the regular season to protect himself from a serious injury. But Bell's agent confirmed this morning on NFL radio that Bell will be ready to play in Week 1.
Yeah, I don't mind star players missing training camp. I really don't. Listen, football's changed. You can't tackle anymore during the season in practice. There's very little hitting. Not even for veteran players. I've heard veteran players don't wear shoulder pads for most practices on some teams. I don't mind him missing camp. Now, I want him. When I say missing camp, I don't want him in any of the games. I would like to see him at least by week 3 or 4 arrive and get in decent shape. But I never have a problem with stars saying, I'm not going to play in the preseason. I think the preseason's ridiculous, and I think 20 years from now we'll look back at the NFL preseason and go, what? You played 4 games before the season? It makes no sense. I wish all star players would say, no more preseason.
I don't have a problem with them sitting out preseason, but I do feel like you need to be at camp. Everyone says that there is a difference between being off-season training and being in training camp. It's just... It's a chemistry thing. Even if you're a vet, it's not about learning how to play football. It's not like you're a rookie coming in trying to learn the playbook and trying to figure out what's going on around you. But you need to be there. Like I don't like that he's missing training camp. Yeah. And if I'm another team, I'm looking at this closely also, because this is essentially going to be his last year for the Steelers because of the situation. So what exactly are you bringing? We know that he's incredibly talented. In my opinion, he's, if not the best, the second best running back in the league. He's huge for that offense, but I don't know. I wish that he would be at training camp. Someone who will be at training camp, there's no word about a new contract agreement between Rob Gronkowski and the Patriots, but he intends to show up to work next week with or without a restructured deal. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports that Gronk plans to report to the Patriots when training camp begins on July 25th. I feel like this is a big year for Gronk also.
Yes, I think it could be his last year.
his last year?
Yeah, I kind of feel
playing
like,
or with the Patriots?
Well, no, I think last year in the NFL. Yeah,
really?
I kind of think like, listen, he can't get through seasons anymore. He just can't. And by the way, because the way he runs and safeties don't want to go after his legs, so they go up high. He's going to have, another big injury this year, some injury. And I think Gronk's never spent his money. He's like the Kevin Garnett of the NFL. He doesn't spend any of his money.
He doesn't spend any of his contract money. He only spends endorsement money.
Yeah.
So he's very good with that.
Yeah.
But it's not a money thing for him. I don't think this will be his last year. I just think that he's going to be very important to Tom Brady because he has Edelman's out for the first 4 games, and it's going to be a different offense for them. Finally, Atlanta Hawks rookie sharpshooter Trae Young has received countless comparisons to Steph Curry, which you don't like. But according to Young, Steph is not the player he models his game after. He told Yahoo Sports, "I try to be Steve Nash more than Steph. I do blend Nash and Steph a lot, but my favorite player growing up was Steve Nash. I get a lot of Steph comparisons, and I agree I do have a few attributes that are similar to Steph, but Steve Nash is a Hall of Famer, and Steph will be one day too. I know I always have to show and prove my passing ability. I have to get better on that aspect, and I definitely work on that a lot." You like that?
Yeah, I do.
I feel like
that.
most players of Trae Young's style and body type do get compared to Steph. Steve Nash gets overlooked a lot. He doesn't get.
He's a great 2-time MVP.
Yeah, but like now, kids, you would expect everyone to say that they're modeling their game after Steph because that's the new wave.
I would love Steve Nash to be 19-year-old entering the league right now, and Steve Nash would have had a even greater career. Steve Nash was built for this era. He was built, no hand check, shoot 3. Steve Nash was built for today's NBA. His first 5-6 years in the NBA, 7 years, it wasn't this league. He is real. Steve Nash was built for today's NBA. You could take his stats, put 25% on him.
I agree. And I do like that Trae Young is going a little outside of the norm, though, with what he's modeling his game after. And I like that he's trying to improve his passing because that is going to be huge for him in his career.
Enjoy the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.
Car shopping's confusing. Dealer price, list price, invoice. Here's what's not. $3,000 off MSRP. New or used. Go to TrueCar.com. Last night was the All-Star Home Run Derby. If you didn't enjoy this 90 seconds to a minute of flurries of home runs from Bryce Harper, then you and I just see sports differently. This was magical. Watch this.
There goes another, so Harper now double digits.
It seems like if he gets the ball near the zone, it's a home run, so you just got to get him close.
Yep, he's in another groove here with 12 and 13. Here goes 14. Here comes Bryce Harper.
Oh, my goodness, this is getting fun. This is going to be interesting.
This is going to be over soon.
Wow.
Another one.
Oh, my goodness.
30 seconds of bonus time. That one could pull him within one. She's got 30 seconds.
Yes.
God.
That was a huge round for Harper.
God, that is as good as baseball gets for something that's not in October. That is magical. Tom Verducci's joining us via the Cowherd Global Satellite Network. SI, 3-time National Sports Writer of the Year. What was it like to be in the stadium last night? Because on television, that puppy popped. That was unbelievable last night, Tom.
I'm with you. Of course, having a crowd here, his home crowd, I thought raised the stakes and the energy level. And for me, just the fact that his dad, Ron, was pitching to him. Think about it. His dad was a construction worker, put up a lot of the roads and buildings on the Vegas Strip. When Bryce was a kid, his dad would bring home rebar for him to swing. That's how he learned how to swing rebar. And his dad, of course, like a lot of dads, would throw a BP in the backyard. Now you're doing it on the big stage last night. And as you said, that last minute, 9 out of the last 10 swings, home runs in the last minute, and he had to have them. That was pretty cool.
When Bryce broke into the league, there was a little pushback on him. He was a little dramatic. He was sort of Reggie Jackson before he'd earned the right to be Reggie Jackson. And I kind of felt his first couple of years, there's a little pushback on him. I feel like now baseball's put their arms around him. Do you feel that?
Yeah, I do. I think so. And you ask anybody in his clubhouse, especially his manager, Dave Martinez, what's not to like, right? And I think you're right. When he came up, yeah, he was brash, he was cocky. He was also 19 years old, right? He's a teenager. So given the fact now that he's got this experience of 6-7 years, I do agree that I don't hear any guys on the other side of the field, for instance, the way we heard when he was a rookie, say, I don't know about this guy's rap here and the way he plays the game. I don't hear those complaints anymore about Bryce.
Let me defend Bryce's batting average. Listen, analytics, defensive shifts, ground balls don't get through, hit the ball in the air. Could I not argue that we've just got to come to terms, like the NBA, the mid-range jumper doesn't matter as much. We got to come to terms with this. That guys are going to hit 230, but if they give you 50 bombs and 94 runs driven home, are we overreacting to his average dipping, or is it a real concern?
Well, it's a slight concern, but there is an overreaction. And I like your comp about the NBA because baseball, like the NBA, going to more three-point shots is more about the long ball. And the three-point play here is the home run. So singles are at an all-time low. Guys don't get paid on singles now, not really even on base percentage. You get paid on slugging. It's the ability to slug. And you look at Bryce at 26, what does he do well? He slugs. That's why he is an incredible asset and will be on the free agent market. And yes, Colin, I got to tell you, shifts have really hurt this guy. The shifts on Bryce have actually doubled in the last 3 years, and that really has hurt his batting average. So I think if you talk about next year the possibility of some kind of governor or outright ban on a shift, you'll watch that batting average go up.
By the way, you wrote the article, The Chosen One, when he was a 16-year-old on the cover, and people, I always think you were probably, there was a little bit of Tom Verducci that was reluctant because you're putting a guy on the cover at 16, but he's clearly been able to handle it. Do you remember the interview? What do you remember about him then as a kid?
Oh, yeah, I remember it because I have a son the same age, and I'm thinking, I don't know if this guy should be on the cover of SI. Maybe that's too much for somebody to handle. And then I met him and talked to him and spent time with the family, and I said, this kid's going to be just fine. Now, you never know if a guy's going to be this good, but in terms of having his act together, in terms of supreme confidence about what he was and what he wanted to be, he blew me away, I got to tell you, and especially his love for baseball, his intellect, his understanding of baseball history. A lot of these guys never get the baseball history. He was into it at 19 years old, 16 years old.
Okay, let's talk Manny Machado. He's a great player. The Yankees have such good chemistry. I don't even know if you want to put a huge star in there, and I'm not sure if they need it, whereas the Dodgers could use it. Listen, a lot of people could use Manny Machado. Do we have any information? Do you have a lean on where you think he ends up?
Yeah, I think it's looking like National League. I had a good conversation with Manny yesterday, and what he told me is he is a shortstop. And even next year, after he signs with another club as a free agent, he will be a shortstop. So I don't see him going to any team that's going to put him at third base. He's not interested in that. And I think you're talking about someone who can change the profile of the National League. One player, because I think if you order the teams, Colin, Dodgers would be number 1, Phillies number 2, Brewers number 3. Put him on any one of those 3 teams, and he may make the difference between going to the World Series or not. So I'd say right now I'd be leaning towards the L.A. Dodgers. And, hey, we still have a few hours before first pitch tonight. Maybe he'll be in the National League tonight.
Well, what's funny is that on my screen, right now, Tom, you can't see this. It says, report, Orioles expected to trade Manny Machado to the Dodgers. So it could be on the Twitterverse. Let me ask you, if I'm a casual baseball fan, I've never seen Manny Machado, what is he? Somebody that's blind, never seen him play. What does he do?
He's an elite player who we just talked about shifts, uses the entire field line to line, gap power and big power, incredible intellect for the game, great instincts. You look at his games played, other than the 1 year he had the knee injury, he posts almost every night, a baseball rat. He is an impact player. And in this market, I believe he's the only impact player that will switch teams this July, whether a pitcher or a position player. I think he's a better third baseman than a shortstop. I think he's an all-time great defender at third. He's probably slightly above average at shortstop. That's still good enough, but I'd say third base, man, it suits his skills better than shortstop. But as I said, it's kind of like being a quarterback or a point guard, Colin. If you think you're a shortstop, you never give that up.
Yes. No question about that. Well, it's the only All-Star game in sports that is imminently watchable. I'll be on it. Fox Sports, Tom Verducci, the All-Star game tonight. We'll keep you updated on Manny Machado. Great stuff, Tom. Thank you.
Thanks, Colin.
You bet. Coming up next, I'm going to do something I haven't done in a long time. I may regret it, but I'm going to do it. That's coming up next. Sports fans, the sun is shining and the temps are rising. Ignite those coals. Weather like this waits for nobody. Kingsford Charcoal, start something. Here's the news. It's breaking. Manny Machado, although the Phillies and the Brewers could still be in the mix, Bob Nightingale, USA Today, saying the Orioles, barring a last-minute snag, will trade their all-star shortstop Manny Machado to the Dodgers. So he's a big stick. They've got Bellinger. They got Max Muncy's kid that was in minors. The Dodgers always find some minor league guy comes up, fastest Dodger ever to 20 home runs. So Machado's a 300 hitter with pop. Yeah, that's interesting. You know, it's funny in baseball. You got some big Cubs are good, Yankees are good, Red Sox are good, Dodgers are good. That's good for baseball. It's going to be a good October. Regular season, not as fascinating, although last night was unbelievable. So anyway, I did have joy. I did have something for today's best for last.
Right.
There's a caller on the line.
Oh, okay.
I gave up callers years ago. I don't think they add a bunch to the show, right? I'd rather talk to you, myself, guests, whatever. But I recognize this guy's name. He's a longtime hater and occasional caller to our show. He's a former baseball columnist for the New Canaan Dispatch-Telegram. F.T. Tillsworth, how are you, F.T., today?
Before I get to my reason for today's call, I believe congratulations are in order, Cowherd.
Why?
Yes, you've just set a record. 900 consecutive shows talking about LeBron James. Someone called Guinness. What's an accomplishment?
I've heard that before. I'm a little obsessed.
Hear it again.
For the record, I talked a lot about baseball. Bryce Harper last night, thrilling home run derby, how it was just great for the game.
Well, I'll tell you what's not great for the game. You. For 3 hours, I had to listen to you drone on about how much you love home runs and this rube, Bryce Harper. My ears haven't endured such pain since the first time I heard the Beatles.
Well, I like the Beatles, FT, and I like Bryce Harper, and I will tell you, I think he's easily the biggest star in baseball.
Well, I take it you are not a man of statistics then, because if you checked, you'd see the supposed star Bryce Harper is batting a lowly .214 this season. Back in my day, we had a name for players who batted .214.
What was the name?
Pitchers. Very funny to you.
Then forget the stats. Don't you like his look? The guy's like a star, the bandana, the long flowing mane of hair.
For God's sake, man. Will you listen to yourself? Who cares about a long flowing mane of hair? It's the home run derby, not the Kentucky Derby. Tell me, who's going to be the next big baseball star? Secretariat?
Okay, well, what about the home run derby in general? I've been saying how much I like the clock. I thought it gave baseball something it needs more of, a sense of urgency. What about that?
Urgency? Have you looked at the pennant races? Teams only have 84 games to go. There's your urgency. We've only got 3 months left. Blinking, you'll miss it.
Well, speaking of urgency, we got things to do here. Joy and I are going to go. Thank you, FT. I always appreciate you following.
There you go again, Cowherd, cutting me short. You know, now I understand why they call this show The Herd. Because it's hosted by a barnyard animal. Good day, sir.
F.T. Tillsworth, longtime columnist for the New Canaan Dispatch-Telegram. Listen, he only calls on days we talk baseball.
Coincidence.
Yeah. He loves his baseball. By the way, I make my predictions. I'm almost through the NFL. Today, I did the NFC West were my predictions, and we taped this thing, and so you can rip me later. We put it in the archive. So here is my NFC West predictions that I did earlier. Listen, you got to stop. I know you're jealous of L.A. because we have good weather and the beach and mountains and stuff and beautiful people, but the Rams could go 14-2. It may be the best division, the best roster in football. They added Pro Bowlers to the secondary, the defensive line, and a world-class speed wide receiver, and those units were already good. I think the Rams win the division. I think they're stacked. Nobody wants to hear this, but LeBron and the Lakers are going to be good. Manny Machado is going to make the Dodgers better, and the Rams and the Chargers are real good. Joy, there's something about Miami and Los Angeles because they're seen as sexier, glamorous towns. There's a little bit of jealousy to Miami, and there's a lot of jealousy to L.A. Sports, in the last 3 years since I moved here, we got the Rams and the best young head coach in football. We got the Chargers. We got LeBron James. And now we get Manny Machado.
How come you guys get everything nice?
Well, we got good weather, and it's a place players want to live in Los Angeles. And by the way, Los Angeles understands that there's a big payoff here. You bring in Manny Machado, you get 4,000 more people on a Tuesday night, each paying $80 a head in Dodger Stadium, and it pays for itself. And so Bryce Harper is going to end up in New York. It pays for it. Bryce Harper doesn't pay for himself in Cincinnati. I've always said this. It's not my obligation to talk about your city or team. It's your obligation to be interesting. And right now, Los Angeles is interesting. The Rams are stacked in this division. Now, I think Seattle and San Francisco, I think they're both kind of 7-9, 8-8, 9-7 teams. The difference is I like the vibe in San Francisco feels better. It's very optimistic. I think the vibe in Seattle, Cam Chancellor retires, Earl Thomas wants out, Cliff Averill retires, Richard Sherman is gone, Michael Bennett's a good pass rusher, he's gone. The vibe in Seattle is one of, we're rebuilding. We're rebuilding. The vibe in San Francisco is, hey man, we're rebuilding, but we're close. And that to me is worth a game. I think I've got Arizona in last place, not because I don't like them, but Arizona I have at 6-10, mostly because I really like a lot of their team. I don't like their offensive line, and they've got one brittle college quarterback and one brittle pro quarterback. And so I think what Arizona's going to do over the next 12 months, next draft, next free agency, is go big on the offensive line. Because they got David Johnson, the running back. They got Christian Kirk, the wide receiver. They did lose Honey Badger, but I like their secondary. I like their front office. I like their coach. I just don't like their offensive line with those kind of immobile quarterbacks who aren't durable. Tomorrow on our show, Nick Wright. All fired up for that. It's The Herd.